Hello and welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Show. I am your host, Jay Jones. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the Black community by promoting business ownership. If you are currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, we invite you to join us every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint.
Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 371. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today's show topic is flipping domains for dollars. Flipping domains for dollars. Now, today's show is actually inspired by an email that I received from one of our longtime BEB family members, Miss Asia. I'm not going to give her last name out on the show, but she talked about her success in flipping her first domain based on one of our previous BEB podcast episodes. Now, before we get to today's show, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and resource links, such as the link to my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful eCommerce Businesses. Also, 2 platforms I created to help circulate those dollars in the worldwide Black economy. BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. Also, I'm going to tell you guys about the new rebranded, rebooted BEB Academy. That's Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Academy. It has all of my online trainings, courses, and tutorials in the academy, and you get 5 days free access to everything inside the academy for free. Just go to BEBacademy.com and enroll in the academy. But now let's get ready for today's episode, flipping domains for dollars. And as I mentioned, one of our longstanding BEB family members, Miss Asia, reached out to me and she sent me this email that I'm about to read. But before I do that, I just want to let you guys know that today we're going to be talking about this case study from Asia who flipped her first domain. I'm also going to discuss how I made $10K flipping my first domain, and this was years ago. Also, I'm going to give you guys some tools and actionable steps for you to do the same. Also, make sure that you subscribe to the BEB Lifestyle newsletter because you will get the show notes automatically. So if you go to bebconnect.com, you'll see in the top left, subscribe to the newsletter. Make sure you do that because every Monday and every Thursday, the newsletter comes out and it has all of the show notes. So, for example, if you're listening to this while you're driving in your car or you're on the treadmill, you're not going to be able to take the notes and the links that you're going to need if you're looking to learn more about flipping domains. So in the show notes, it'll have all the links and everything so you can listen to the show, enjoy the show, and don't worry about writing the notes down. So make sure that you do sign up for the BEB Lifestyle newsletter. So let's start off by reading the letter that Asia sent me. It was written on June 10th, 2021 at 9:10 a.m. Good morning, Jay. I'm Asia, a longtime listener of your podcast, and I hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out to you to say thank you for putting domain investing / flipping onto my radar. I remember you talking about it on several of your past podcasts, and it kept in the back of my mind as an option for another stream of income. Well, never in my wildest dreams would I think I would benefit from something like this, but I did surprisingly last week. I always make up domain names and search them on GoDaddy.com, and if they're not taken, then I buy them. In the case of the one that sold, that is exactly what happened. I created a basic how-to titled domain name, but never attached it to a website. Back in March, I was looking over my domains and decided to list this particular one for sale. Then I just forgot about it. Well, last week, I received an email from Afternic in which either they own GoDaddy or vice versa, saying, "We would love to pay you for your purchase of your domain, but we do not have payment information for you in order to send you the payment." I was dumbfounded initially because I had forgotten that I had listed the domain for sale. After doing a little research and finding out they were legit, I then logged into their site and gave my payment information. The domain ended up selling for $2,200, and I received over $1,700 after the commission fee. I know that's not a lot of money, but it really showed up right on time as I really needed it within the next couple of days. I got that email informing me of the sale on Tuesday and ended up getting the direct deposit on Thursday. Pretty quick turnaround. I definitely plan to go more in depth with this and keep it as a permanent stream of income. I just wanted to say thank you again for all you do with sharing your knowledge and uplifting us in the community. I am forever grateful, and I wish you and your family continued blessings. With much sincerity, Asia. So that was a great email that Asia sent once again, and that was on June 10th. She sent this email to me, and she said that she put up the domain name in March. So I'm not exactly sure what time in March, but she profited and netted over $1,700. And that's just an example of what you can do if you want to start selling domain names. Now, I have over 236 domain names, but I've been accumulating domain names for years. It's just something that I do. When I come up with an idea or a concept or a business idea, whatever, I usually try to go and find the domain just in case I want to do something with it. Now, over the years, I've let some domains go that I never used or touched in, a couple years, but I always start collecting domain names. For example, the title of today's show is Flipping Domains for Dollars. I bought that domain. So, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in today's show. So Flipping Domains for Dollars is something I just bought. Didn't put anything on it, but I will probably put this episode of the podcast on the actual domain itself to drive additional traffic to the podcast. Now, let's talk about the concept of domain flipping. And I'm actually going to give you my story of flipping my first domain. And then we're going to get into flipping domains, the steps, how to increase the value of your domains. And also, we're going to talk about the tools that are necessary. Once again, I just want to mention it's going to be a lot of tools. So if you don't have time to write this down, make sure you subscribe to the BEB Lifestyle newsletter. Just go to BEB Connect, and that'll take you to a page on the website. And I believe in the top left-hand corner, you'll see subscribe to the newsletter. Just put your name and email in that, and you will have all of the show notes, which will include all the links. So first of all, let's talk about number one, domain flipping. So domain flipping is the process of purchasing and selling domain names to make a profit. Now, obviously, the goal in flipping is to buy domains at a low price and then sell them for a significantly higher price. So it's just like flipping anything else. This is internet real estate. And so, as we all know, the internet isn't going anywhere, right? So unlike land, where we can't create any more land, we definitely can create some land or internet real estate, or buy a piece of internet real estate relatively low. And I'm going to talk about, after I go through some of this, I'm going to talk about a project I'm doing now in my newest domain I just put up for sale. So let's talk about number one, when I sold my first domain. Now, this was years ago, and it's so funny. I looked up the domain name, and it actually is still available, and I probably know why. The guy probably went out of business. But I'm going to venture to say maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I got an email from an attorney that wanted to buy one of my domain names. Now, on this domain, I didn't have privacy, so it had my contact email. And I get the email from the attorney, and the domain name was Event Marketing Inc., inc.com. And it's something that I just had. I don't even know why I got it, but I was doing event marketing way back in the day. So that's probably why I bought that domain. Never had anything on it, no website, no nothing. So I get this email and I'm thinking, all right, this is probably a scam. And so I responded, and the attorney responded back, and he asked me how much did I want for the domain name. And I'm like, okay, this might be something real. So I contacted my attorney and I was like, yo, bruh, this is what's going on. Can you talk attorney to find out if this is legit? So my attorney reached out to this attorney who was working for another guy, and he was like, yo, bruh, this is legit. They want to know what you want for the domain name. And I didn't have any idea. So I just said, hey, $10,000. So my attorney went back to this guy's attorney, and they were like, okay, $10,000 for Event Marketing Inc. And I'm like, huh? I said, man, this is for real. So we had to set up with an escrow company, and we'll talk about that later on in today's show. So I forwarded the domain to the escrow company after they sent the $10,000 to the escrow company. And then once everybody had their stuff there at the escrow company, then we proceeded with the transaction. I took the $10,000 and then I gave them the access and ownership of the domain. And what I did, my attorney, he was like, yo, just give me $500. So out of that deal, I walked away with $9,500 for a domain name that I literally never even used. And like I said, it's so ironic. I went and looked today before I recorded the show. Eventmarketinginc.com is still available. And the guy, I think, had an event marketing company somewhere up in Boston. I think he was selling tickets, and he was trying to create a concept that would rival Ticketmaster or StubHub, where he was selling tickets to different events. And but yeah, that was my first foray into actually selling a domain name. Now, I came up 10 stacks, and like I said, this was probably about 6-7 years ago for a domain I had never used or done anything with. But let's first start off by talking about the steps to flip a domain. Now, it's pretty simple, guys. Number one, you want to identify a valuable domain name. And what I do is I use a tool, which is a Chrome plugin called keywordseverywhere.com. It's a Google plugin. It's a Chrome plugin. So when you do a Google search, what it does is it actually gives you the amount of people that have searched this word or keywords. A long tail keyword, and we're going to talk about that, is a series of 3 to 5 words. Okay, so this will give you the search history. All right, and we're really going to dive into that a little bit deeper because that's very important. If it's a keyword or keywords that nobody searches for, what does that mean? That means it's not going to have as much value, right? So you want to be able to research and identify valuable domain names. That's number one. Number two, check the appraised value of that domain name. So if you go to godaddy.com/domain-value-appraisal, you can pop in any domain name and it will give you an estimated appraised value. Okay. Once again, make sure you get the notes so you don't have to write this down, but it's godaddy.com/domain-value-appraisal. That's step number 2. Step number 3, you want to check the availability of that domain for purchase. And you can use GoDaddy, which I use, or you can use any other service provider that you want to actually buy that domain. Number 4, you want to list the domain on a site called afternick.com. That's what Asia was talking about. Afternick is actually owned by GoDaddy. And Afternick, which is spelled AFTERN as in Nancy IC.com, afternick.com, actually will list your domain for sale, not just on their site, but on over 30 other domain sale sites. So when you go to Afternick, your listing is going to be on most of the major domain selling sites. So that's why you want to go with afternick.com. Okay. That's step number 4. You want to list it there. Step number 5, monitor your offers. So you may need to adjust the pricing of your listing if it's not selling in a reasonable amount of time. Now, what is reasonable? That's a relative term. So in Asia's case, for example, she set it in March. She put it for sale in March, forgot about it. And then in June, she actually got the sale. Okay. So it was there for a couple of months, March, April, May, June, say 3.5 months. And it was a $1,700 plus profit for literally doing nothing but finding a domain name and then listing it on Afternick. So those are some of the easy steps to buy a domain, check out the domain, and list the domain and hopefully sell that domain. So in terms of the valuation of domains, I don't know exactly how GoDaddy or anybody else comes up with that value, but value is really what somebody is going to pay for something. So if you find a company such as the company I sold it to, eventmarketinginc.com, they bought that for $10,000 because it matched what the name of their company was. So once again, it's all relative. You may have a domain name that you think is worthless, and you go and check the appraised value and you're like, oh man, it's appraised as something, that I didn't even imagine. And I'm actually going to show you guys, I'm doing a domain flipping project right now, and I'm going to talk about my newest domain that's up for sale. But first, I want to talk about how to increase the value of your domain. So first of all, if you have a great domain name, and I'm going to use one like cars.com. Now, when you get those singular domain names like that, those are going to be worth premium dollar amounts. So if anybody's not familiar with cars.com, just go on it. And what it is, it's a car buying website. And they make hundreds of millions of dollars because it's called domain domination. So cars.com, right? Anytime you shop for a car, that's going to be one of the first things that pops up. I want to look at pricing of a new Acura MDX 2022 model or whatever. And I guarantee you cars.com will come up in the top search results for that. So how do you increase the value of your domain? All right. Now, if you have a domain, you can put up a website and drive traffic to that domain. So that means more eyeballs are going to hit that domain, meaning that it's worth more. So if you put up a domain and you put up a website behind the domain and you have traffic coming there. So say the domain is trucks.com and you start putting up content about trucks, right? So now you're not just selling a domain, you're selling a website and the traffic that comes with the domain. So that's going to increase your value. As I mentioned, you can add consistent content to the site, which really increases organic traffic. And we're going to really talk about organic traffic in a minute. Okay. And that's something that if you have organic traffic and use long tail keywords, which we're going to discuss shortly, this is something that can blow the doors off in terms of the value of your actual domain name. Another way to increase the value of your domain is if you bundle one domain with additional domains. And I'm going to give you a real life example. I haven't put these up for sale because I still might do something with them. But if you bundle similar or like domains. So for example, I've created a bundle of domains for what I call my sports roundup group. So I have Atlanta Sports Roundup, Chicago Sports Roundup, Dallas Sports Roundup, Detroit Sports Roundup, Houston Sports Roundup, LA Sports Roundup, New York Sports Roundup, Philly Sports Roundup, Phoenix Sports Roundup, San Antonio Sports Roundup, San Diego Sports Roundup, San Jose Sports Roundup. And those are usually like the top 12 or 14 cities in population in the United States. So AtlantaSportsRoundup.com. And those sites can be sites that have all things sports in Atlanta, in Philly, New York, LA, Chicago. So phillysportsroundup.com, the Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, college football, all of that type of stuff. So if there was a network, also I have sportsroundupnetwork.com. So if there is a media company that wants to buy domain names that are all similar or all alike and build a media entity with sports, that bundle would be great for them because you have all of the cities. So now what does that do? That increases the value. Now, if I wanted to make it even more valuable, I can go out now and start putting content, daily content, phillysportsroundup.com. Eagles just played the other night. They look like garbage because they had a lot of subs in there. It's preseason. And I can have content on all sports Philly, everything. And that could be a site that will probably get a lot of eyeballs to it. Okay. In addition to the city sports roundup sites, I also have NBAroundup.com, NBAsportsroundup.com, NFLsportsroundup.com, FightSportsRoundup.com, SECFootballRoundup.com, and also I mentioned Sports Roundup Network. So any SEC football fans listening, right? SECFootballRoundup.com. What kind of site could that be? You got all of the SEC teams. You can have content, curated content, and aggregated content from all sources talking about SEC football. Would that get eyes on it? Heck yeah. So by bundling, by buying multiple domains and creating a branding type strategy with the Sports Roundup network, with all of these different cities involved, if I just put a tad bit of content on those sites consistently, and there's a ton of them, those sites would be able to be bundled, and I probably could sell it for a hell of a lot of money. I don't have the bandwidth to do it, but I'm thinking about hiring somebody in cities to be able to manage or partner with some of these sports roundup sites where they're having, making sure the right content is out there. So I know in Philly, even though we got all four major sports, the Eagles are the biggest sports thing. It don't matter what time of year it is. It could be spring. It could be Easter. And if you go on any of the Philly sports radio stations, we got two major stations, they're going to be talking about Eagles. They don't care even if the Sixers are about to go into the playoffs or the Phillies or the Flyers. It's Eagles. It's mainly an Eagles city. We're a football city. So you'd have to know, what content people want to listen to. All right. There's, in terms of hockey, there's a niche for hockey. Baseball is big, especially when the Phillies are doing well. And the Sixers are big when the Sixers are doing well. But nothing can trump the Eagles 24/7, 365. That should be your lead. Some type of Eagles news if you're doing stuff like that. So we're talking about flipping domains for dollars. And what I was just describing there was bundling domains to give more value. Okay. So also, and we're talking about how to increase the value of your domain. Put up a website and drive traffic, because you can just literally sell the domain with nothing behind it. And that's what Asia did. And that's what I did. I had no website or nothing, and neither did Asia. So you can put up a website to drive traffic, which will make your domain more profitable. If you add consistent content, now you've created a website and a domain that you're selling, and those sell for higher multiples like crazy. If you bundle domains like or similar type domains together, that can increase value. And I mentioned long tail keywords. So finding good domain names by researching long tail keywords, okay? And buying those domains like an how-to domain. So for example, in one of my previous episodes, I talked about long tail keywords. And let me get in this real quick. So what is a long tail keyword? A long tail keyword is a phrase that's generally made up of 3 to 5 words. And since these words are more specific than generic, so they're not like a cars.com, it could be buycarsinphiladelphia.com. So these words are more specific than generic terms. They allow you to target a niche demographic. So these keywords are also less competitive than the generic keywords because they're designed to better reflect how people make their queries or how they search. So if you're looking for an apartment, you're probably going to Google apartments in Chicago, apartments in Los Angeles, apartments in Philadelphia, as opposed to apartments.com, which again is a premium domain. You go to apartments.com, you can go and search apartments in any city you want. But once again, that keyword, it's very competitive. All right. So if you go, hey, apartments in Philadelphia, or say even like a small town, apartments in, I don't know, Columbus, Ohio, right? Those are going to be less competitive, and what they are long tail keywords. So just think about when you go into Google and you start searching for something. Most times it's going to be a series of words. Okay. Best restaurants in New York, best restaurants in Philadelphia, best restaurants in whatever. Those are long tail keywords. So you can actually dominate a domain by not just buying or creating domains with one word. You can create a domain with a long tail keywords. So for example, I mentioned at the top of the show, the title of this show, flippingdomainsfordollars.com. I bought that. Now, the funny thing about that, when I put the Chrome plugin keywords everywhere, when I typed in my Google search, flipping domains for dollars, I had 25,900,000 searches for that long tail keyword over a 24-month period. Okay. I mean, a 12-month period, excuse me. So let me repeat the number of searches for flipping domains for dollars in Google, 25,900,000 searches. So you see, basically, there's a lot of people searching that. So as opposed to trying to compete with the premium domains like cars.com, apartments.com, all types of stuff like that, apartmentsinphiladelphia.com. That's easier to compete. Okay, now that domain probably is taken, but you can still get Google AdWords. And when people search and you go in your Google search and you put in apartmentsinphiladelphia.com, what's going to happen is you can do Google Ads paid search terms, right? So if you bid a higher bid than everybody else, when they put in apartmentsinphiladelphia.com, your domain or your link, your website is going to come up first in the paid search. Okay. So that's how, when you use long tail keywords, you can use them the way people search. So that's exactly what Asia did. And I talked about that on a previous show. How do you search for stuff in Google? How to? I was just changing a key fob battery for my daughter. How to change key fob for 2019 Volkswagen Jetta. Very specific. And when I typed that into Google, I had a couple of videos that came up on YouTube, and then I had a couple other things. Very specific. So if you start buying domains like that, you can dominate that domain. So start thinking about how you search and how other people search for domains. And so I didn't mean to go off track, but that's a way to increase the value of your domain. Okay. Long tail keywords. A lot of the premium domains obviously are taken. Okay. So what we want to talk about right now is my newest domain flipping project. So I just bought a domain name, and I was doing some research. It's called howtomakechristmasdecorations.com. Howtomakechristmasdecorations.com. And what is that? That is a long tail keyword. So I know Christmas isn't here yet, but if you're in the e-commerce space, you're preparing for Christmas already, right? So you know that you got to get your stuff in by, end of August, early September. So once again, I just picked out a domain name, howtomakechristmasdecorations.com. Now, let me give you the numbers on this. Now, it hasn't sold yet. I literally just bought it and just listed it. But I want to do this as a project, and I'll keep you guys abreast of what's going on. So I paid $22.16 for the domain and privacy for 1 year. So domain was like $11 and the privacy is like $9 or something like that. With the taxes, it was $22.16. Now, the estimate value of that domain name, howtomakechristmasdecorations.com, on GoDaddy, that link I gave you, is $468. Now, when I listed it at a sales price of $750. And my thinking is this. So as the holiday season is about to approach, people are going to start looking for how to make Christmas decorations, how to make Christmas decorations. So if you're a company that sells instructions or videos about how to make Christmas decorations, do you think that would be a great domain for them? So if they do tutorials, workshops, or whatever, that would be an excellent domain, because that's the way people search on Google. How to make Christmasdecorations.com, how to do this. So I talked about in the previous episode, and I apologize, I don't remember what it is, but you can search it, about the how-to domains, because that's how we search and you can dominate a domain. Once again, I paid $22.16 for the domain. Estimated value on GoDaddy is $468. My sales price, what I want to sell it for, is $750. And when you go into Afternic, it'll give you a floor price, meaning what's the lowest you would sell that domain for. And my floor price is $500. So with the commissions in Afternic, if I sell that domain for $750, that means I'm actually going to net $600 on that domain. So let's look at the numbers. I spent $22.16. And if I sell it and net out $600, I'm going to make 270% return for doing pretty much absolutely nothing. Buying a domain and listing a domain. I've done the research. Now, I bought the domain name for a year. So $22.16, that's all it's going to cost me, unless I decide to add content and create a website behind it, which I'm not. So ask yourself this. If you can get a 270% return, now I don't know if I'm going to sell it or what I'm going to sell it for, but these numbers are what the numbers are. So anytime you buy a domain through GoDaddy, it will tell you the estimated value of that domain. Okay. And once again, I have the links that you don't even have to buy the domain, but you can check out what the appraised value of that domain is. So think about it. Now, let me give you the numbers on keywords everywhere for the long tail phrase, how to make Christmasdecorations.com, or how to make Christmas decorations anyway. There, over the last 12 months, so the average total search volume people performed in the last 12 months was 246 million searches for that long tail keyword or key phrase, how to make Christmas decorations. 246 million people in the last 12 months type that into their Google search bar. So do you understand what I'm saying here in terms of being able to find domains? And if you invest $22 and you can make $600, once again, I haven't made it yet. So I'm going to keep you guys abreast of it. I literally just put it up for sale on Afternic this morning before I recorded this. So I will definitely keep you guys up to date on that. One of the things is that this could definitely be a profitable stream of income for you because it's a low barrier to entry. It is very little work. You do 5 minutes of research and you have an amazing upside potential if you pick the correct domain names. Once again, long tail keywords or phrases or key phrases are going to be less competitive than your premiums. Once again, apartments.com, cars.com, doctor.com, all of those are premium domains. Okay. But, find a doctor in Philadelphia, find a restaurant in Buffalo, find a dentist in Mississippi, wherever. Those aren't going to be as competitive. So once again, long tail keyword is a phrase that is generally consisted of 3 to 5 words. And because you're being more specific, you're not going to be generic. You're being more specific than generic terms. They usually target a niche demographic, and these keywords are less competitive than the generic keywords. So long tail keywords or key phrases is what you want to look at. Think about how people search or how you search on Google. Before we go to the last quarter of the show, guys, I just want to share all of my social media contact information and my resource links. So I mentioned at the top of the show, guys, my new book is out, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. So if you're interested in building a successful, sustainable e-commerce business, go to anewblackwallstreet.com. Pick yourself up a copy, $14.95 for the print version, $9.95 for the digital version. If you need additional assistance building that successful, sustainable e-commerce business, my flagship program is out, family. Pound for pound, my best standalone product, Brand Builder Academy Elite, BBAelite.com. Make sure you go to BBAelite.com and enroll. It is a 15-week interactive program that takes you from product or digital or physical product ideation to having your product being sold on your platforms and other platforms. Pound for pound, my best product out there, BBAelite.com. Now, I also mentioned 2 platforms I created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide black economy. The first one is BeSmartByBlack.com. So if you're a black product producer that wants to sell your product to black consumers worldwide, upload your product information to BeSmartByBlack.com. It is free. Costs you absolutely nothing, and you can connect with black consumers worldwide who may want to buy your product. Now, I didn't forget about you freelancers. If you do anything on Fiverr.com or Freelancer.com, upload your information to HireBlackFreelancers.com, HIRE, BlackFreelancers.com. Once again, it is free. Now, you can connect with black consumers and black business owners who want to hire black freelancers. Also, I mentioned at the top of the show, guys, my new rebranded, rebooted Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Academy, BEBacademy.com. You get 5 days free access to everything in the academy. I have all my online courses, trainings, master classes, workshops, and tutorials. Everything except Brand Builder Academy Elite. That's a standalone product, but everything else. So if you are a newer entrepreneur or beginner, we have content for you, marketing, financials, how to set your business up. If you're an existing entrepreneur, we have things that will help you scale your business, e-commerce, marketing. So go in there, you get 5 days free access, try before you buy, and you can connect with anything inside the academy. Now, I know that was a mouthful, so you can go to BEBconnect.com. That will give you links to everything there, BEBconnect.com. Now, let me give you my contact information and social media. Anything long, family, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, JAYJONES@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Facebook, go to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, connect with me there. Instagram, you can go. I got 2 IG accounts. The first one is J Jones for real, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. The second one is Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. All right, Twitter, it's JJones001, JAYJONES001. Also on LinkedIn, link up and connect with me. Just go type in J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, connect with me on LinkedIn. Also, Clubhouse, @IamJJones, @IamJJones. Also, YouTube. Please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. I have additional content on YouTube that is not on the podcast. And yes, the podcast does come out on YouTube every week. So go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, hit that subscribe button. Also, for all the first-time listeners, the show drops every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on all your major podcast platforms and YouTube. So every Monday morning, you're going to get new heat from Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, Jay Jones, and any guests that we have on 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday morning. All right, let's get ready to close this out, guys. Flipping domains for dollars. Hopefully you guys see the opportunity that's available with very little effort put into it. And once again, there are actually people that make a living just flipping domains. There are people that make over 6 figures a year flipping domains. You can go online and you can go to YouTube and you'll see all types of stuff. But I wanted to bring you a story from one of us, a BEB family member that did it not necessarily as a business, but she said, what the heck? She heard some content on the podcast and said, hey, let me try it. And for her stepping out and taking that step of faith, she made $1,700 in a few months. Now, just imagine if you have, you're not going to make $1,700 every time you flip a domain, right? You may make $500, $400, $300. Could be a car note, it could be electric bill, whatever. But just think about the numbers that I was telling you about with this domain I bought. How to make ChristmasDecorations.com. Cost me $22.16 for the domain and privacy, meaning that people don't know I'm the owner of the domain. Estimated value from GoDaddy, $468. The sales price, I'm trying to sell it for $750. Even if I don't sell it for that, I may have to drop it down. My floor price is $500, meaning the lowest I'll sell it for right now. And if I do sell it for $750, I'm going to net $600. We're going to talk about the tools real quick. And what Afternic does, it charges a commission based on the sales price of your domain. So I would be charged 15%, it looks like, or something like that, or 20%, whatever. I'm netting out $600. So once again, I spent $22.16 to make $600, which is a $270 profit if this goes through at that sales price. Once again, I'm going to keep you guys abreast of how that goes. And just like Asia, I'm pretty much, I put it up and now I'm going to forget about it. But if I keep seeing success like this and I keep finding these domain names that make sense, even if I make an extra $300, $400, $500 a month, it's very easy to do. And it's a scalable business. We're going to talk about scalable businesses on one of the next upcoming episodes. That's why a lot of black businesses fail, because they're not scalable. But that's a whole nother story. Now, let's talk about some of the tools real quick. And once again, just go to bebconnect.com, sign up for the BEB Lifestyle newsletter, because all of the links that I'm getting ready to talk about will be in the actual newsletter on Monday and Thursday. So first one is keywordseverywhere.com. That's a Chrome extension. So if you use Chrome, make sure you get that, keywordseverywhere.com. And what it does, it gives you the search term volume for a word or a series of words. Okay. So once again, that's how I know how to make ChristmasDecorations.com gets over 246 million searches over the last 12 months. So that's what Keywords Everywhere does for you. And it used to be free, and I think it's about $10 now. So definitely do that, because you'll be able to see the search volume in Google. Anything you put in Google, right under that, you'll see the number of searches that term has. So if you're looking to buy domains, you want to see how many people search for those phrases, those key phrases, because that's going to determine how many people may organically, may organically get to your site. All right. So if somebody types in how to make ChristmasDecorations.com and I create a website behind that and have content, then they will probably get forwarded or sent to my site if I have enough content and it's indexed by Google. That's a whole nother conversation. Another tool, Afternic.com, AFTERN is in Nancy, IC.com. Afternic.com is a platform owned by GoDaddy that helps you buy and sell domains. Once again, they will list your domain on their site, sales site, and about 30 plus other sites that sell domains. So there's a 20% commission. Any domain you sell from $0 to $5,000, they're going to take a 20% commission. Then as you get higher, they give you different tiers, but just go to Afternic.com. Next one is escrow.com. It helps you buy and sell domains securely by providing an escrow component to your transaction. So you don't want to give somebody access to your domain and their payment comes back or whatever. So you need to have an escrow company. It's just like if you're buying or getting a mortgage. Okay, escrow.com. And the last one is godaddy.com/domain-value-appraisal. And that gives you the appraised value of a domain. You know, once again, appraised value doesn't mean that's what you're going to get it for, but that's what they deem the value of. So make sure, guys, you go to BEB Lifestyle or BEB Connect, .com and sign up for BEB Lifestyle newsletter, and all of these notes, links, and everything on today's episode will be in there. And that comes out every Monday morning and Thursday morning, twice a week. And it has entrepreneurial news for Black entrepreneurs, lifestyle, and also business and entrepreneur news from all types of sources. So definitely sign up for that. I say this each and every week, but it's the truth, and I mean it. We get more and more downloads, and that's attributed to you guys, the BEB family. We've got downloads. I think we're over like 13 million downloads since we start, 13, 14. I haven't checked in a while, but it's just growing and growing, and I thank the BEB family, and I appreciate you guys. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the newsletter, the blog, about the movement. It's about building an economic power base in the worldwide Black economy, and we do that by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.